Hi folks, welcome back to the official Lowland League Catchup. Once again, third week on the trot, it's myself, Derek, in the hot seat, and I am joined by Shaun. How you doing today, mate?
I'm good, thanks. I've had a fairly decent weekend, to be honest. I took in a few football games, just back up from my first out and watching Kelty women's team play. No the greatest results for the first game that I watched, but it was still interesting to see. A lot of quality, even in the women's league. What about yourself? How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. We'll obviously get into the results and the reason why I'm pretty good shortly, but it's been a decent weekend of football, hasn't it? And there's a lot of good news stories to come through today in the podcast about the Lowland League as well. And also, you can't have a weekend without a wee bit of comedy and a bit of laughter, which we kind of got for the latest junior statement in the pyramid. But again, just a heads up, folks, and given that I've referenced it, we will be having our first pyramid podcast coming out in the next couple of weeks. So I know a lot of people will expect us to react to the statement that came out from the West region of the juniors with regards the pyramid and the new league and the developments. So that will be covered in full at a later date, just so we're not kind of jumping to conclusions and anything like that. We'll get everything fully researched and we'll hopefully get voices for and against to contribute as well. You're listening to Lowland League Catch-Up, proudly sponsored by the Soccer Shop Direct. For all your sports teamwear and equipment needs, head to @thesoccershopd on Twitter. But with that all said and done, will we get started with Friday night, Shaun?
Yeah, absolutely. It's some absolute humdingers of results over the weekend, so I'm looking forward to this one. But yeah, we were obviously both through in Alloa, so being the BSC supporter amongst us, I'll let you kick off with that one, I suppose.
Yeah, so there was two games on Friday night. First off, the one we were at was BSC playing host to Cumbernauld Colts. Let's be honest, it was a Baltic night through Alloa way, and it was an all-action game. So really couldn't complain with kind of keeping us occupied. It started off in the first few minutes. First chance of the game for the home side. Thomas Collins turning and hitting on the volley from 25 yards. Greer, kind of a story of his night, spilled it, but he was able to recover that one. And we'll get into that later as well. But against their run of play in the first few minutes, Cumbernauld Colts took the lead with Billy Mortimer catching a floated ball in the box in a half volley, and it was a really nice strike past Ryan Marshall. And to be fair, I think on the balance of play after that, Colts were more than worth their lead. Having said that though, it was 1-1 in the 11th minute, where Thomas Orr capitalised on a missed clearance, and Thomas Collins managed to get a hold of it, put a long ball through, and beat Greer by sticking the ball underneath his body. But it kind of came for Colts being on the attack as the better side in the first kind of, say, 10 to 15 minutes. 21 on the clock. Good work by Robbie McNabb for BSC, forcing his way into the box, played a perfect cut back to Tam Orr, but he could only strike it into a sea of defending red shirts from the Colts. And 5 minutes after that, this was BSC coming back into it. Evan Glasgow smashing a phenomenal strike from the edge of the box under pressure, and it thumped the bar, went out for a goal kick, but it looked all ends like it was going to be a goal until the very last. And there was a penalty given on the half-hour mark where it looked pretty stonewall. However, from the actual kick itself, Declan Hughes stepped up and Greer got down really well to palm it away, and I think you'll agree, Shaun, it was a cracking save, wasn't it, diving down to his right?
Brilliant save, excellent, aye.
But 35 next, so 5 minutes after that, it was Colts back in the ascendancy. Ryan Marshall coming out for the ball in a sea of bodies, and he was impeded before Jordan Marshall managed to clear it off the goal line with a last-ditch header, basically. Colts, just a minute later, had another goal. This time, an overhead kick that almost evaded Marshall in nets, but he managed to get his hands to it. And 5 minutes before half-time, yet again the crossbar was left shaking. BSC on the attack, Jamie McCormack making his way through the Colts defence on the right, pulling it back for Thomas Orr, who probably should have scored, in all honesty. And when the ball was squared across, the keeper was in no man's land. All he had to do was keep it down, but he wasn't able to, and it hit the bar and bounced clear. So 1-1 at half time, really entertaining stuff. And the second half was more of the same. So 2 minutes in, Tamor played a low cross over to Thomas Collins. First time strike was just wide at the far post. And it started going to and fro, but instead of it being more level pegging, I think it's fair to say that BSC had the better chances. On the hour mark, Tamor managed to work some space on the right of the box, picking out Jamie Mills, who struck first time from a tight angle and hit the side netting. And they were kind of petered out a wee bit in the next 10 minutes. 20 left on the clock. Jamie Mills found Tamor again, who twist-turned and managed to get a strike off, saved by Greer. But 76 on the clock, the second goal for BSC went in. Ross Lindsay played a pass to Declan Hughes, his first time. Now, here's a debate. Declan's insisting that this wasn't just a cross, but it was absolutely just a cross. Whipped into the back post, and it beat the keeper and the defence. All ends up, I believe it actually touched the front post and then went back to the back post. And instead of being able to clear it, it looked like the Colts defender actually knocked it in inadvertently. But yeah, it's been given to Deck, and there was no VAR there, so no dubious goals panel. I believe he'll keep it. 2 minutes after that, though, it looked like it was going to be game, set and match. Cameron Dixon, however, had other ideas. A powerful run through from Robbie McNabb, crossed it to Jamie Hamilton, and he was winding up to finish when Dixon put in an absolutely perfect last-ditch challenge. Really good tackle. So Colts were still well on it until 5 minutes for time. There was a cracking pass for Ross Lindsay through to Lewis Bell, coming through on the right on the overlap, and he was scythed down by Kavanagh as he was about to let fly. No mistakes this time, because it was Thomas Collins that stepped up and he sent the keeper the wrong way. But the last action was for Colts. A good save from Ryan Marshall in the BSC net to deny Marty Wright as a kind of sustained spell of pressure right at the death from Colts was trying to get them any glimmer of hope away back into the match. It finished that way though, 3-1. And we talked about, I mentioned earlier on in the summary about Greer, it kind of been a story his night. He didn't really look that comfortable for the high balls and the cross balls, did he? And it ended up, I feel like BSC started taking advantage of that on the attack, and that seemed to be the main difference between the two sides.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with you there. I think early on both sides seemed to be getting their chances in there, and then they went in at half time 1-1. Greer made that exceptional save at the penalty as well. You'd think that would have given him a bit of confidence boost, but yeah, he definitely looked a bit like he was lacking confidence. I don't know if that's true for where we were standing or not, but it definitely looked as though BSC started to play on that a little bit. You obviously touched on it, Declan Hughes cross turn strike. It was an exceptional turning point, I think, for them, and it was just a brilliant goal, regardless of whether it was a cross or a strike. It brilliantly looped right over the keeper, hit off the post, went in. You can't ask for any more than that. It was brilliant to see. It's good to see Dylan Dykes getting his debut as well for Cumbernauld. They've obviously been really busy of late trying to strengthen up their squad towards the end of the season, obviously building towards next year. I think I'll be a wee bit disappointed that they didn't go away with anything, but BSC definitely they played a bit of football to close out the game, and I think they were deserved winners at the end of the day. For me, it was my first time along at the end of drill. I don't know how long BSC are going to be situated there for, but it was a nice wee setup there. Press box was nice and cosy. I liked that, but didn't stay in there for too long because I don't want to get used to it, to be honest. I'm used to standing in the cold elsewhere, but it was brilliant to meet, obviously, John when we went in at the gate, and Michael and Martin up in the press box. BSC have got a really, and Cammy as well, spoke to him at the very end, and they've got a really good setup at BSC just to help promote the club. And I suppose the other big talking point that I'm sure everybody who were at the game would have been talking about when they left was just how good me and you looked in our new official catch-up gear that we got from Soccer Shop Direct.
I think
we got
that
to try
goes without saying, mate, doesn't it?
Absolutely, we got to try that out on Friday night, so it was a cold night, but I don't know about you, but I felt pretty cosy myself.
Aye, I was nice and toasty, quite happy. So shout out to the guys again for the jackets, thank you, for those. Yeah. But it was the game itself. I think BSC got what they wanted. Oh yeah, bouncing back for that pretty heavy defeat away at East Kilbride. I must admit, I was impressed with Colts. The way they set about it, and they've obviously, as you mentioned, made a couple of really interesting signings of late. I feel like they are really kind of ahead of the curve and preparing for next year now, because if they can keep that squad of players together, they've got something to build on, and there's no reason why they couldn't be up kind of with the challengers next year if they continue to improve the squad and keep playing that way, because it was good combative pressing football they were playing, and they gave BSC a lot more problems than other sides have done this season. The flip side obviously being that BSC are now back on the winning track again after the kind of cup hangover game, and now that the media's disappeared and not trying to get video clips at everything in their dug. So it's just a case of pushing through to the end of the season, still in the South Challenge Cup, and kind of finishing in high up the table as possible as well, I guess.
Yeah, I think BSC are in a good position to, I think, lock up that third position, maybe even make a wee bit of a push for second towards the end of the season. They've got the big double against Kelty coming up, like you say, still in this South Challenge Cup, which is their first game up, so they've still got a chance at silverware. They obviously won the League Cup last year, so they'll be looking to, I suppose, add to their trophy cabinet, and that's a good opportunity for them. Colts will be a bit frustrated. They dropped down a position after Cali Braves pulled off the win against Shire, but I suppose they've got quite an interest. They've got a wee bit of time off before their next fixture, and their next game, same as BSC, is against Kelty, but obviously they're the only team to beat Kelty this season, so I think they'll be looking forward to that, especially considering they've got, I suppose, arguably a stronger squad going into it. So yeah, exciting times ahead, I think, for both teams.
Definitely. Well, here's hoping anyway. And that leads us into the second of the Friday night games. We had the Spartans at Ainsley Park hosting Vale of Leithen. And do you want to take us through this one, Shaun?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was keeping a close eye on this while we were obviously at the BSC game, and it, do you know what, it looked like it went right down to the death. But if we run through it, at the beginning there wasn't a tremendous amount of goal-mouth opportunities for each side, but Spartans were definitely dominating. It's a lot as ever. Blair Carswell's coming off his line to deny Smith, smothering the ball at his feet. There's a decent sweeping move shortly after by Spartans, and it's a save for a corner and a well-aimed low strike by Jack Smith. Still 0-0 though, and Spartans definitely frustrated by the defensive formation that Vale set up as they search for that crucial deadlock breaker. Spartans did have the ball in the net via Nicky Reid, but the far side Lino had a flag up. It was hard to tell, but the Twitter for Spartans putting out that he said it looked to be a fair decision. There was a chance for Maxwell sweeping the ball across the face of the goal shortly after, but the former Spartan stalwart Thompson gets a toe to it and takes it away from Jack Smith, who looked certain to score. So going into half time, it was 0-0 between the two sides. I'm sure Vale would have been the happier, as they'll be definitely looking to pick up some points towards the end of the season. In the second half started off much of the same. It was a cracking free kick into the heart of the box from Aaron Scott, and it was headed towards the goal by Adam Corbett, but it was saved from the corner. A cracking drive from 25 by Gregor Woods forced another save from the keeper. By all accounts, sounds like Vale did a brilliant job between the posts during this one. It was the 76th minute though that it was a power header by the captain Adam Corbett who broke the deadlock to give them the 1-0 lead, and literally 30 seconds later So an individual effort, if you like, by Nicky Reid, who was able to work his way into the box and hit it into the back of the net for a second. Liam Ireland shortly after that scoring with the last kick of the match to make it 2-1, a bit of consolation goal for Vale there. But Spartans, I suppose, continuing their good form at home, building on what they've done over the past few weeks, but Vale making it a lot more difficult, I think, than Spartans perhaps thought it would have been. Certainly more difficult than I thought it would have been leading into this one.
Aye, it was one of these games that when we had a look at it and we spoke pre-match on Friday at the end of the drill about it, we kind of thought it might have been quite a tight game, but you obviously expected Spartans to run out winners. And it sounds like from kind of the match reports and so on, that Vale put a really good fist of a fight in. Obviously being much more defensive than their counterparts. Spartans Twitter at one point referred to their back eight, I believe, in defence. But fair play to them. They've given it a right good go, and then with 15 minutes left, they must have fancied their chances of going down the road with a valuable point there. But once a deadlock was broken, they kind of folded, and if they hadn't conceded the second straight for kick-off, they could have got that point with Liam Ireland popping up at the death. But there's good things there for Ando to work on, no doubt. I'm sure he'll be happy that they've ran Spartans all the way and they've ran them really close and they've clearly played well and been organised and hard to break down. Because that'll be half the battle as we get into the final games of the campaign, especially if they're going to be able to nick the odd point here and there against sides up in the top half of the table. But Spartans are beginning to get to that stage now where they're doing just enough and they're getting the points again. And this is where they're at their most dangerous, you could argue, where if even if things aren't necessarily all going their own way, if they can find a way again to just grind through results and get points up, they might well just begin to work their way back up to the kind of, well, the top four's ideally where they want to be, isn't it? And they're not going to be there this year, chances are. But this was more of a Spartans-like performance. I feel that they've done enough and they've done the business in the end, and they'll be happy enough with the 3 points, move on to the next game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think fourth place might be a wee bit out of reach, but there's still a lot of the season to go for Spartans, and they're starting to show a bit of their character that they lacked at the beginning of the season. They perhaps didn't want to have to call on it in this match, but yeah, they pinched the goals at the end. That's what they were, I suppose, famous for over the last few seasons, that they just did what they needed to do to get the 3 points at the end of the day. And they've got some winnable games coming up towards the end of the season. Every game's going to be a tough game, but they've got every chance of at least locking up that 5th place and building on towards next year. As for Vale, yeah, I think they're going to be sorely disappointed that they didn't take something away after, taking it so close towards the end of the game and even pinching a goal at the end there. They've got a huge game coming up this weekend which we'll touch on when we go over the fixtures, but I suppose there's a wee bit of momentum for them in that one, I suppose.
I mean, the only thing against Vale is they are still marooned to the bottom with 7 games left, so time's going to start running out on them if they don't get points pronto. But we'll get into the game, as you mentioned there, coming up. Normally at this point would have been covered Dalbeattie at home to Berwick Rangers, but unfortunately it was postponed. We kind of knew on the Friday that was going to be the case when Star had quite openly said the pitch is struggling and kind of given a heads up to fans home and away that chances are the game's not going to happen. So we'll find out when that gets rearranged in due course, which leads us to East Stirlingshire at home to Caledonian Braves. And I know I just said there that Spartans probably won't end up getting in the top 4 this year. Results like this might change that. They've got a chance, because Shire, who have been in a fantastic kind of vein of form over the past couple of months or so, ended up slipping up 3-1 at home to Cali. But we'll run through it. Started off 3 minutes on the clock, Ross McNeil forcing a save from the keeper, and on 7 minutes, Shire kind of biting back, dangerous cross in, beating everyone. Nobody could get an end of it, and it just petered out harmlessly for a goal kick in the end, but it was a sign of things to come. 9 minutes, Neil McLaughlin trying one from distance for Braves, put it just over the bar, and it was generally kind of to and fro, quite an even game until the 17th minute. Great play from Davy Winters, who managed to find Neil McLaughlin, and he slotted home, made no mistake, 1-0 to Cali, and trying to fight back from that, Shire, just 2 minutes later, forcing Marsh into a good save from the edge of the box. From that, a great ball in from Winters on the counter-attack was almost touched in again by McLaughlin, so that same double act hooking up. So just back and forward stuff in the early stages. Straight after that as well, in the 20th minute, Shire again went close from a corner, header went just over the bar. Unfortunately didn't get a name there. I know Shire's Twitter was out of action at the weekend, so we're kind of relying a lot on the Cali guys, and I appreciate them kind of sorting us out for the match report as well. In towards half time, 10 minutes before the break, Nicky Lowe had a good effort for Shire that hit the side netting when it looked as if to half the ground it might have ended up in. But they managed to get their equaliser just after that, and that's how it was at half time, 1-1, where, to be honest, I think the consensus was that Braves had been a better side overall, but either side had it there for the taking. It was going back and forward, and it was a cracking contest. Straight after half time, Neil McLaughlin stepped up and headed home from another Winters ball in, so that duo just running riot against Shire's defence. And pretty much in the same moment, Nicky Lowe was shown a straight red. We don't know what for as yet, but knowing Nicky, he might have said something. Is that too much an assumption to make? Aye, he obviously did something to get in the ref's bad side, and it was a straight red card. It wasn't 2 yellows, so it must have been reasonably serious, whatever happened anyway. But that was the hour mark, down to 10 men and 2-1 down. Shire had a right fight in their hands to get back in it. Braves kind of took over from there. McLaughlin put a bottle into the back post just after the hour mark, too far for McNeil to get in the end of it. A few minutes later, McNeil again came close, but the keeper managed to deny him, Barkley. But it could only last for so long. Ross McNeil's that kind of guy that keeps coming back, and he did ultimately grab the third with around 10 minutes left in the game. And that was how it finished out. They controlled the remainder of their play, finished 3-1, and this was I was going to say the most eye-opening result. I don't know if I can say that, given what we'll get into in the next couple of games, but it was certainly a game that most people had pegged the home side to win. So for Cali not just to win 3-1, but to ultimately control the second half and kind of play so well the whole 90 minutes, it's certainly it's made a lot of people sit up and take notice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Braves are a side that we all know can put away goals. They've definitely got that in their arsenal. Their problem's always been, being able to shore up their defence a little bit. Lots of good individuals in their defence, but they seem to leak goals a bit too much on too many occasions. But they've done a good job today on keeping it down to the one against the Shire side that, well, I think I said score for fun last week, because that's what they're capable of doing. Nicky going off, he has a tremendous impact on that squad, so that's going to have impacted them. But that was fairly late on, if I'm correct in thinking that he went off. So they've done a really good job, and it sounds like Braves have they've deserved to win this one. Shire are going to be, they're going to be absolutely kicking themselves, because they're definitely in a battle for a sort of top 3 finish there. Early on, I think there was some fairly decent odds on Shire challenging for the title. They fell away from that, I think, relatively early on, but they're still fighting for that sort of respectable position. Not that fourth isn't respectable, but they'll be wanting a strong finish to sort of get into the top 3 there. I would have thought they've only got, I think, 4 games remaining. BSC have got, they've got a lot of games, maybe 9 or 10, I think, towards
It's 9 games, I think.
Is it 9? Yeah, so you know what they say about points on the board is better than games in hand, but yeah, they're going to have to make the most of these last 3 games. I think they've got, I believe they've got Spartans next. They've got a fair wee break as well, and I think they might be out of most of the cup competitions as well. So it's going to be interesting seeing what they can do with, match fitness over the next sort of month and a half as we see in the end of the season. And yeah, as for Braves, I think, yeah, good for them. They've gone away to Falkirk Stadium, no an easy place to go, and they've banked 3 goals in. They deserve to go home with the 3 points at the end of the day, and they climb up to 8th in the league. So I think they'll be quite happy.
Definitely. And yeah, that kind of brings us to Edinburgh Uni next up at home to East Kilbride, coming off that really good result last week. And I'll let you take us through it, Shaun.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm going to go off of the back of what you described as one of the shockers of the week, with another one as Edinburgh Uni welcomed East Kilbride to Peffermill. So the kick-off in this one, it was delayed a little bit due to a crash on the M8, so it was an unusual 3:25 kick-off for this one. 22 minutes in, and it was Malcolm who played a great ball across the box for Woods to turn in and passes into the bottom right-hand corner. So yeah, 20 minutes in, and EK taking the lead there and look like they've done so relatively comfortably. The ball drops to Brady 7 minutes later, 20 yards out. He hits it well, but it goes just over the crossbar, and that basically leads us into a half time with East Kilbride winning 1-0. Kind of a sort of result that I think we were expecting. However, 5 minutes into the second half, and Edinburgh Uni were able to level the game through Paddy Baird to make it 1-1. 55 minutes in, and Brady takes a corner, puts it into the edge of the box where Gibbons is waiting for a nice shot, but the keeper touches it just over the bar, keeping it at 1-1. In the 74th minute, it was Shaun Winters that turned the defender in the box, gets his shot away only for the keeper to touch it around the post. And then 78 minutes in, and it was Ricky Miller from the corner, a great flick on from Winter, and Miller with a headed tap in to give them the 2-1 lead. With 10 minutes to go, it looks as if they're comfortably going to take the 3 points away, but Edinburgh Uni were able to equalise through Binnington to make it 2-2, and yeah, take a point away, a surprising point, but by all accounts it's a point that I think they deserve to go away with. I suppose there's a couple of big talking points. East Kilbride, they were coming off of a pretty tremendous win against a BSC side that were coming off a decent cup run, so they had a bit of momentum after that 4-0 win. And Edinburgh Uni are a side that we talk week in week out about, I suppose, without sounding too harsh, their inability to find the back of the net. They're able to play defensively well week in, week out, but they struggle to score goals. This week they found the back of the net twice, and they've taken 2 crucial points. I think that widens the gap between them and Vale at the bottom to 4 points. It's not a massive amount, but it's a 2-game buffer, if you like. So I think they'll be chuffed that they've came away with a point there, and they've done a really good job to nick it at the end as well.
Yeah, especially when it was 5 minutes left in the clock when they managed to steal that equaliser. As you say, it's 4 points in a gap now, having played 2 games more than Vale, but at this stage of the season, every point is valuable, especially when you're down at that side of the table. So I think you're right. I think they'll be delighted with the result. For Kilby, maybe the previous game was a bit more of a kind of revenge game than we gave it credit for, in terms of BSC turned up and kind of knocked them at the cup and had their way with them in a bit of a weird fashion. So maybe we've kind of reacted too heavily to the manner of that win, and it's more of a, right, we've got that out of our system, and they've not been able to hit the same level the week after, if that makes sense. And they've got a new manager potentially coming in next week or the week after. They've now closed that process for applications, and we touched on it last week, saying that might well inspire the players to go out and play well. Here it doesn't look like it's had enough of an effect, because that's a game, realistically, if you're a Kilby person, you think your team should win that every day of the week. Just for the squad you've got, and for where you are on the table, essentially. But it was a heavy pitch, to be fair, so the conditions probably weren't in Kilby's favour, and the kind of football they like to play, the patient passing football, always is a bit tougher in conditions like that. But to be honest, I think we just need to give credit to Dorian in Edinburgh Uni, because I never gave them a chance. So I think you just need to say it's a cracking result for them, well done, and we'll see if they can get more points on the table to basically drag themselves away from danger.
Yeah, it's an outstanding point for them to take away against, I suppose they're still the defending league champions at this point. And the UK will be bringing in a new manager, and I think he's going to have his work cut out when he gets there. I'm not personally going to read too much into it when he starts to string his first few results together. I think they need to bring in a manager. They need to see out the season, but this is a side that needs to start building for next season. They've lost a lot of good players, and they brought in a few, but probably not enough. They need to find their identity again, something that they've kind of lost over this season. So I am really interested to see when their new manager comes in, but I'm not going to put a huge deal on their performance for the remainder of the season. I think for EK, it's going to be about next season. They're going to finish mid-table, and that's EK and a mid-table side. They're going to want to be competing against next season, and that's what they've got to build for. And yeah, Edinburgh Uni, a tremendous result. At this point in the season, I love looking towards the fixtures that are going to decide it towards the end of the season, and they've got a huge game against Star to finish it off. I think Edinburgh Uni versus Dalbeattie Star in one of the final games of the season is going to be massive for them. Other than that, I think they've got a few tough games. I think they have to face Kelty and BSC, but by no means was EK an easy game. So I think some of the other teams in the league will need to take note, especially if Edinburgh Uni start to find their form a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. The next game, it's not going to be a full synopsis because it was really hard to get information together on it, so I'll just run quickly what happened when Gallifreydine Rovers welcomed Civil Service Rollers down to Netherdale. It was 0-0 at half time, and then in the second half Gala ran riot basically. So Roger put the first one in 55 minutes, Taylor Mackenzie followed up in 63, Alex Chingwalu, who we spoke to recently, and if you've not read the blog yet, it's out there if you find our Twitter, and we'll obviously mention where it is later on, scored in the 66th, and the scoring for Gallo was rounded off in the 70th minute, 4-0 with Campbell finishing. So a ridiculously good result, you've got to say, for Ferrydean Rovers there. Civil's begun to go off the boil a wee bit, and it feels like that's kind of been a slow descent for January, that their form's begun to elude them, and they've dropped back down, if you look at the table, below Spartans again. It almost feels like we gave them the kiss of death, saying this was the year that they were going to finish above them. But what do you make of that one, Shaun?
It was a shock. I don't think we can put it up there with Braves and Edinburgh Uni's sort of results, because I think Gala are a very good side. But I think the manner in which they've done it is, 4 goals in 15 minutes by any stretch that's outstanding, and it was 4 different strikers as well. Obviously every side wants your prolific goal scorer, but at the same breath, when you've got a team that can all individually score goals, it's brilliant to see. And yeah, I think Strollers will be a bit frustrated, because I think year in year out they battle with Spartans, and Spartans have a habit of getting the better of them. And yeah, Spartans went out and did the business this weekend, and Strollers weren't able to do it. Gala, they were able to move up and put a wee bit of gap between themselves and Berwick as well, so I think they'll be quite happy with that, as they when I can't remember off the top of my head, but if you look from maybe 6th or 7th in the league down to where Gala are in 11th, 12th, there's not a lot of points in it, so these games could make all the difference towards the end of the season. And I think in this one, I think we weren't really confident who was going to take the 3 points in this one, but I don't think anybody kind of had it bagged as a 4-0 win for Gala. It'll be interesting to see the full sort of round up of the game when that comes out, or highlights if we're fortunate enough.
Definitely. Now, you might have noticed there's a certain game we've not covered yet, and we're going to keep you waiting another few minutes. So we've been learning off sports scene, you see, folk. So I'll run you through what happened at Fourth Bank, University of Stirling playing host to Gretna, and then we'll get into the big game, the game of the week after that. So 3 minutes in, the Stirling Uni Twitter guy was straight away making clear that Gretna were on the front foot. They weren't there to take a point, they were there to attack. And it was apparently pretty noticeable through the whole game. 5 minutes, they almost got the reward for such a positive start. There was a defensive mistake, a loose back pass nearly setting them up. Uni managed to get the ball back and actually started a good counter attack. Ultimately came to nothing though. Until the 10th minute, it was just a bit scrappy. And at that point, the deadlock was broken. A good ball in from Gretna at one end managed to elude their strikers. The Uni broke up the other end of the park pretty quickly. Penker managed to curl one expertly around the keeper when the chance presented itself, and it was 1-0 to Chris Geddes' University of Stirling. 13 minutes, snapshot from Gretna from distance, really well hit, curved just wide of Fry's left hand post, and Fry would be called into action again on the half hour mark. A run through from the Gretna midfield, an excellent fingertip save from the keeper, diving to his right hand side, and the ball was in at the far post if he hadn't got a hand to it. 5 minutes before half time, another good attack from the visitors. Stirling were losing the midfield battle at that point, and had allowed a wee bit of slack play to kind of get into their general game, but they managed to get to half time at 1-0 to the good. And the second half was more of the same story. 51 minutes on the clock, another Gretna break, curled shot, just over the bar. The hour mark, Stirling had a wee fight back. Downey managed to skin someone in the midfield and was brought down for the free kick. There was a ball squared across from said free kick to Heath. He couldn't quite get it under control, so it was bouncing about. It came back high into the box, and Don chested down to Matty Burrows, but his shot flashed across the goal and didn't quite get back on to the target. And I noticed there was a bit of excitement for the Stirling Uni boys about this guy Stefan that came on as a sub. I don't know too much about him, to be honest, but it sounds like he's quite a player for the excitement he was generating. Anyway, he almost had an instant impact in the 73rd minute. He'd only just came on the pitch, robbed the ball off a defender, scooted past the keeper on the left, tried to square it, and it was deflected out for a corner. Ultimately, that came to nothing. But he seems like the kind of guy that makes things happen, basically, going forward. 4 minutes later, again, he managed to get himself in the action, clean through and goal, and defender managed to rob him just as he was pulling the trigger. 10 minutes left, Gretna had a dangerous corner, crossed it in. It was dealt with well by the defence, but deflected away for another one. And he almost snuck the subsequent corner in at the back post, almost Declan Hughes style, cross-come shot. But it was scrambled away off the line by Uni. And in stoppage time, just to finish it off, another Gretna corner. Berry headed it off the goal line, and the final shot went just over the bar. So it was one of those days for the visitors that they threw absolutely everything at Stirling Uni, just couldn't quite get the ball over the line in the back of the net. A great shift from the home side, and basically they were quite magnanimous after it, saying, like our kind of last few games, Gretna again put a lot into it, had a lot of possession, created more chances, but it was Stirling that were clinical in the end, and they managed to get a reward for that with their 3 points. So it has to be said though, like many games, again, it was played in horrible conditions. So well done to everyone that managed to stick it out and watch the whole thing, as well as the players for playing through it. It was almost called off, the state of the pitch, but they managed to get it through. So shout out to the ground staff there at Fourth Bank as well. And it's ultimately, I'm not quite sure this is the way we predicted it, Shaun, but the final result's what we kind of expected.
Yeah, I think it's Rowan and Perry, the way they've set out this Gretna side, they're not going to sit back. They're they're always going to be a side that go out and try and get the 3 points. And you know what, they have made a fantastic effort in this one, and they'll definitely, by the sense, you'd be disappointed that they haven't gone away with anything. But as Stalin have said, that's football. Sometimes it goes that way. Sometimes the better team on the day, or the team that creates the chances, aren't the team that take away the points, and they've been on both ends of that. And for Stalin, University Stalin, they're going to be quite happy that they can get back to winning ways a little bit, because I think they've had a frustrating few weeks in the Lowland League. They'll be wanting to string a few more points together. But yeah, perhaps it's maybe not the way that we expected the game to play out, and a lot of credit needs to go to Gretna for their effort in this one. But you'd kind of expected Stalin to win. To be honest though, the way that the game went, it wouldn't have surprised me if Gretna did win, and that would have just absolutely blown up the result card for the weekend, because it was already a bit ski whiff to what we were kind of predicting when we were seeing it the last podcast, I suppose.
And it's left Gretna in a pretty dangerous position as things stand as well, despite the fact that they gave that game a right good go. And because when you look at the table now, they are joint on points with Edinburgh University with an extra game in hand, but they're only 4 clear of Vale of Leithen at the foot of the table, so they're still nervously looking over their shoulders, I'd suspect, and they're only 1 point clear of Dalbeattie, having now played a game more. Bear in mind that 2 teams could easily get relegated this season, depending on what happens with the playoffs and so on at a later date. So to guarantee safety, you need to be 14th and above, and they'll still have a few worries, but at least there's signs there that they have got what it takes to go out and attack games, and hopefully they'll be rewarded by that kind of positive outlook in that endeavour as well. You'd like to see a team that are giving it that positive mindset be rewarded for.
Yeah, they've got some tough games to see out. They're playing Spartan, Shire, East Kilbride, Bonnyrigg and BSC to close out the season, but they have got that game in there against Vale of Leithen on the 4th of April. That game's going to be absolutely massive for them at the bottom. And yeah, if they go out with that formation and that sort of winning mentality, they could quite easily pinch another point here or there that might just be enough to keep them well clear of any sort of concerns when they come up to face Vale next month.
Yeah, that might have led us into a game that a few people have asked about from yesterday. We're recording this as usual on Sunday, and we alluded to the fact that this might break the attendance record for the non-SPFL leagues this weekend. It did more than that. It absolutely smashed it. Over 1,500 people went along to New Central Park to see Kelty Hearts playing host to Bonnyrigg Rose in the battle of the top 2, and just everything at stake in this one. You were there, Shaun, so do you want to run us through it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, credit to all the fans that turned up for this one, because 1,500 at this level, I think there was obviously, you take the cup games out of it, I think it was yourself that possibly shared a tweet pointing out that it was the 3rd highest attendance in Scotland after a couple of games in the Championship. And that's credit to both sides and the Lowland League. 2 sets of really passionate fans, and I think the next fixture will be a lot more of the same, to be honest, when the 2 sides meet at New Dundas Park. Yeah,
it'll be close to capacity, if I remember right, like New Dundas, with that kind of crowd as well. So it'll be a raucous atmosphere.
Yeah, I think I believe New Dundas Park have had 2,500, I think, in one of the cup games, unless I'm wrong. So I don't see us quite reaching the same heights, but another 1,500 I think is likely, and it's going to be another one that's going to raise a few eyebrows for people looking down. Great advert for non-league football, I think. But yeah, I'll run you through this one. So the first 15 minutes, neither side really dominating, both sides sort of trying to figure out the other. It was Dylan Easton that came sort of closest, firing a shot over the bar in the 4th minute. 17 minutes in though, there was the first goal of the game, and it went to Kelty, and it was a tap in for Ross Philp after Weir saved the initial shot that was played across the goal. It did only take a minute though for Rose to answer that, and it was the first of two tremendous goals. This time it was a free kick from outside the box by Lee Curry, doing what he's done all season, to be honest, nestling it in the top corner to make it even at 1-1. 7 minutes later, on the 25th minute though, we had the second sort of goal of the game, I suppose, with Dylan firing from outside the box, an absolute stunner again into the top corner. On the 30-minute mark, 5 minutes later, Brown was booked for a high challenge on Riley, Thomas Riley. For where I was standing, it looked a bit 50-50, but Tam won the ball, and the referee brandished a yellow for that one. 8 minutes later, in the 38th minute, and Kelty extended their lead with Nathan Austin basically just jumping a little bit higher and getting the head on the ball to make it 3-1 to Kelty. 42 minutes in, Scott Linton with a free kick was able to evade everyone but went just past the post, meaning it was 3-1 as we went into half time. 5 minutes into the second half, and McGawkey goes over in the box. Didn't look like there was a lot of contact, but you've seen them given. The ref agreed on this occasion though, and there wasn't a penalty given. 5 minutes later though, Bonnyrigg with their second of the game, Hunter follows in a ball that the defender is favourite to win, but gets ahead of him and dinks it in over the keeper. And to be honest, for the last sort of 30 minutes of the game, it was Rose that were definitely on the ascendancy, making the Kelty back four work for the win, to be honest. 63 minutes in, Rose were on the attack. A few shots had to be saved by Mackenzie. There was a shout for handball as well from Rose fans and players, but it wasn't given. 72 minutes in, and there was a brilliant save from Mackenzie from a close range header. And again, there was protest for a handball. The ref having to step in on that one and settle it down a bit. 76 minute, and Kelty did find the back of the net, but the lino did have his flag up for offside. And towards the close and into stoppage time, a few good chances for Rose as they looked for that equaliser. McGawkey shooting over from close range, but again the line away flag up would have disallowed the goal anyway. Overall though, it was lived up to expectation, to be honest. Rose will be disappointed. I did manage to catch a few words with Robbie Horn afterwards as well, and he was definitely disappointed that they were going home with no points, especially after the performance that they gave in the second half. Kelty, I think they'll be very pleased. It takes a little bit of the pressure off, but when you look at the remaining fixtures and the fact the two sides have to play again, I think maybe leading into this there was quite a few people that were maybe putting this down to a league decider. It's definitely going to carry a lot of weight, but when you go through and look, these two sides have got to play each other again. Rose have got a big game against Shire. Kelty play against BSC a couple of times. Kelty, I think, are playing Cumbernauld Colts again, which are obviously a side that have taken 3 points from Kelty earlier on in the season. So there's a lot still to play for. The game was it was end-to-end stuff, to be honest. Both sides had spells where they just looked dominant. Rose could have quite easily nicked an equaliser at the end, perhaps even a couple, which, standing aside and from covering the league, I've seen Rose so many times scoring goals in that last 20 minutes that I was quite surprised when they didn't score any goals, but they definitely quite easily could have. And likewise, Kelty could have. They had a few chances where they could have scored more than 3, to be honest.
Yeah, we kind of, I think we gave it an appropriate build-up by the way the game played out, that it had goals, it had kind of action at both ends. There was goal-mouth scrambles. Rose will be aggrieved that they've not got taken something. Kelty might be aggrieved they've not put another couple of goals past them. It's a cracking game, cracking advert for the 1,500 people that were in attendance as well. So just bring on the next one. That's
absolutely.
All I can really say.
And sorry, on you go.
I was just going to say the thing that you look at now with Kelty winning there, think of it as a home leg, a two-legged cup tie almost. That's put them in the driver's seat, because Rose are the team that need to bounce back. They'll have plenty of opportunity to do that. And when you look at the fixtures that are left, Rose have already played BSC twice. So Kelty's still got to play BSC twice, as well as going away to New Dundas. So this was a massive result, I'd suggest, for Kelty. Probably even more important for them to win this than it was for Rose. Given that Rose have got that extra game in hand and they've got the chance to have them in their home patch. And if they do win that, suddenly it's right back to level pegging again, with Kelty arguably having a harder run in the games. So who knows? It's still all up in the air. And I saw one or two people implying that this was Kelty now, all but one hand on the trophy. They're nowhere near that stage.
No, absolutely not. And I think that's the point you've made there about it not being all but done is spot on. I think if anything, this adds more excitement towards the close of the season because of the way that the fixtures are leading up towards the end of the season. I think if Rose had won it, I think it would have perhaps given him a bit more of an advantage with the fact that it would have been New Dundas Park game to come on, and I think they do have the easier running fixtures towards the end of the season. I think this is making it all that more exciting towards the end of the season because I think it's still anybody's to play for.
Yep, absolutely. And there's going to be plenty of twists and turns, I'm sure, on the run-in. And bring it on, is all I can say. Especially not having a vested interest if either team get up. It's quite nice to be able to watch on without getting too many heart palpitations either way, put it that way. I suspect it won't be the same for yourself, but
no, to be honest, it's an interesting one, and as much as I'm a supporter of Kelty. I want to see them win the league. I want to see them get promoted. 100%. I'd love to see them playing in League 2 next season. But do you know what? If Kelty are unsuccessful and they're playing in the Lowland League next season, it's a fantastic league with some tremendous teams already in it. It's only going to get stronger over the next few years. And yeah, like you say, when we have that pyramid chat and we sort of look at some of the teams that are going to play in the West of Scotland and ultimately are eventually going to play in the Lowland League, it's a nice position to be in, to be honest. Yeah, you're egging your team on to win and to get promoted, but if they don't win promotion, it's hardly like they're going to be playing in some third league or anything like that. Lowland League's an exceptional league to watch. So,
just on that note, now that we've kind of rounded off all the games, the reason that we are going to be doing that Pyramid podcast over the next couple of weeks, folks, the next important date coming up in terms of the new West of Scotland League and so on is this Friday, the 6th of March. And by that date, the Lowland and East of Scotland Leagues together will announce the application process for it. So we wanted to wait until that's all out there in the kind of public sphere so that we're giving you a properly informed point of opinion or two. And basically, so keep your eyes on that, because before you hear us again, that will be out there and you'll see what's happening, and the chances are some teams will come out and make their public statements, as I've done already, about being interested as applications get handed in as well. So that'll be a really interesting time of things off the field. So we've got the best of both worlds. There's excitement off and on the field about what's going on, and it's just a really interesting time of year at this point for the league and for all Lowlands non-league football as well, basically. Now I'm going to get a little bit ahead of myself here, Shaun, so bear with me. Looking at League 2, we briefly had a glance at it a couple of weeks ago now. Brechin are still marooned at the bottom, and are 7 points away from Albion Rovers, having played 2 games more than them. And Rovers managed to get a win and a draw in their last 2 games. So it's looking more and more like Brechin might be the side to be in that playoff battle. Obviously, there's a Highland League team to get involved in the initial side of the playoffs as well. But assuming the likes of Brora or Fraserburgh end up winning the Highland League, I don't think any Highland or Lowland side's going to have any fear playing Brechin in the playoff final.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, but as we've seen with obviously this weekend's fixtures, anything can happen when a team has their day. The legs are still quite well weighted towards the League 2 side as well, with the League 2 playing at home in the second leg, which again that could potentially playing their advantage. I think one of the big talking points with Brecon is, I don't know if you saw it, but there's a lot of chat going on just now about if they do make the drop, that there's whispers that they don't necessarily want to go into the Highland League, and there might be a loophole around it because of where they train. I've not researched it much myself, but I think for sitting in the Lowland League and having a look at that, that's definitely an interesting prospect. If I was to guess, I would say if Brecon go down, they're going into the Highland League. They're the league where, you know, Brecon falls into that sort of geographical net, and they're also the Highland League, I believe, need a team as well, to be honest. So if a Highland League team doesn't go up and Brecon drop down, it nicely fills up that Highland League, to be honest. But yeah, there's some interesting factors going on, and it's going to, Lowland League's definitely a strong league, so it's quite good to be confident. But I think last season, when we were speaking at this point, we were quite confident in how well East Kilbride were dominating in the Lowland League, and then they went away and played Cove, and they were dominated quite handedly. I'm sorry to say for East Kilbride fans that are listening, but yeah, Cove dominated in both those legs, so
yeah,
you never know.
You've stolen the words from my mouth. The wee caveat I was going to press at the end. You never can tell until the games actually arrive, can you? So, because I'll always remember that, the two of us going up to Cove to watch that game, and obviously with the first leg it was a tough one, but just absolutely blown away by Cove, who, to be fair, have taken another step forward and have been brilliant in League 2 this year. So it just goes to show what can be done for the more ambitious sides at this tier. There's nothing stopping you going further up the ladder once you've got up to the SPFL as well. But yeah, I think that rounds us off nicely. So will we just drop into kind of plugs and get on to looking ahead to next week?
Aye. Will we have a look at next week's fixtures?
Let's do it. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So the week ahead it's mostly cup action, to be honest, with a couple of Lowland League ties thrown in. So we'll start with the midweek game. Bonnyrigg Rose are playing against Dundonald Bluebell. The fixture's been moved through to Trinent to anyone who's hoping to go along to that game. I think that's the Football Nations Qualifying Cup, if I'm correct. If no, we can just edit that nicely out. But Football Nations Qualifying Cup that Rose are playing in there, they're still alive in that one. Dundonald, they're a team that are doing really well in the East of Scotland Premier League, though. Didn't have the best of starts, but they've been picking up some wins of late, so should be quite an interesting fixture. Personally, I'd have to obviously side with the Lowland team side, and in my opinion, definitely the more dominant side in Bonnyrigg Rose. What about yourself?
I tend to agree. The thing with the Football Nation ties is you can never quite put your neck in the line fully for them. Pretty much anything can happen, because you're never quite sure if it'll be the full strength lineups out, and a lot of these midweek games can throw up really bizarre results as well. But I don't think I can argue with what you've said there, to be honest.
Yeah, because this one is sandwiched in between a Kelty and a Civil Strollers tie for Bonnyrigg. So whilst a lot of teams are getting a bit of rest this week, for Bonnyrigg it is, and it's 3 games in the 8 days for those guys. But yeah, I think Rose are strong enough. They're going to have to call on their players because they don't have the deepest of squads by any stretch. But yeah, I think Rose should be able to do enough to pick up the win and move on to the next round in this one.
Yeah,
that takes us on to Friday night. And we've got the South Challenge Cup in the small matter of BSC Glasgow against Kelty for astonishingly the first of 3 matches, and for the first time this season. I think BSC are a really strong side at home. Kelty are going to have a bit of momentum coming off of their win. I think I'm saying this, obviously it's a complete neutral, but I think Kelty should be able to do enough to win this one. And ordinarily I would say it's a cup game, so with both sides they might not be looking at it with the same eyes they look at the Lowland League, but it's only a few days before they meet in the league a few days later, so I think both sides will be wanting to, I suppose, take some momentum into the league fixture.
Absolutely. The way BSC are looking at the cup is that I don't think the league realistically is within reach at this point. The cup very much so, and BSC have won the South Challenge Cup before, so it's something the club knows how to do. I think the main thing with this one is that BS will be back to full strength in the defence as well. Ross Smith will return from his suspension. So that's just a necessity against Kelty for any team. You need to have your best defence there ready to give yourself any shot. I still think Kelty will be the favourites, but hey, they've not played each other yet, these teams, and they're both more than capable, so it'll be really interesting to see, obviously in a one-off game before two more come down pretty swiftly, where they're both sitting and kind of how they're going to go about it, especially going into the next games as well, where changes and tactical switches might happen as well.
Yeah, I mean, these are, different teams to the teams that met a year ago, but if I remember rightly, BSC caused a lot of trouble for Kelty last season, so at the moment it's advantage BSC heading into this one. And obviously on Friday night, it's worth mentioning, there's obviously the usual full slate under-20s fixtures, which they're always decent. They're more than decent games to go along to be honest, and you're getting to see a bit of the future of the Lowland League, because so many of the sides are picking up their players out of their under-20 squads. So if you're not making the trip along to Alloa, there's bound to be another 20s game close to where you are. That takes us on to Saturday. We'll kick off with the two Lowland League ties, I suppose, and then we'll move on to the South Challenge Cup.
Yeah.
So we've got Bonnyrigg playing again. This time they're welcoming Strollers along to New Dundas Park. Rose need to keep on the pressure, but to be honest, Strollers, they're going to be rested for midweek and they're going to be seething a little bit, I think, for the 4-0 defeat they were handed at the Netherdale. So I don't think they're going to be easy opposition, but I can see Rose winning this one quite comfortably, possibly trying to make a little bit of a statement Lowland League wise after their game against Kelty.
It could go one or two ways for Civil. They could either have the bit between their teeth and want to get it kind of bouncing back, or it might have a kind of lingering effect on them, because it's a big result that they've just came off of there. So I fancy Rose to win that by a couple of goals, just with the way things have been going recently. And if they do so, then kind of turns up the heat again on Kelty at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And next up, for me, I mean, it's hard when you've got Rose and Strollers, who are two very good sides, BSC and Kelty, two very good sides going up against each other. But for me, I think this is the game of the week that stands out. For me, it's the bottom two sides are meeting. Vale welcoming Dalbeattie Star along Tenor Leithen. This will have massive implications, I think, on what side goes down. There's only three points between the two. If Star can pick up a win here on the road, they're gonna put 6 points between them and Vale, and 4 points are going to be left between Vale and Edinburgh Union Gretna. If Vale can pick up the 3 points, there's going to be 1 point between the bottom four after this weekend. So it's going to be huge, this game. I think purely based on the home advantage, I'm going to go with Vale with this one, but it could go either way, to be honest. It's going to be a really interesting game. I think that's why I think it's the game of the week.
I'd agree with you. And I can't pick a winner either, because it's just there's so much on the line. It's going to come down to maybe a breaky ball here or there, and who's got the right mentality. But I don't think a draw helps either team at this stage of the season. You need to go for the 3 points. There's no point in kind of sitting back and hoping to take the point for either side. I don't think so. I'd expect them to be going hammer and tongs at each other. I'd expect to pretty kind of positive setups for the managers, and maybe even a few goals as well. But yeah, I can't really pick a winner between the two. It's just a really tough one to call.
No, I totally agree with you there. And then we're back to the South Challenge Cup after this one. So we've got 3 matches still to cover off in the South Challenge Cup, 2 of which have got Lowland League sides represented, both at home as well. So Cali Braves are welcoming Dunny Pace in the first of those 3 ties. I think Cali are coming off a really comfortable win. Going up against aside from the league below, so you would expect a slightly weaker opposition. I think Braves should be able to comfortably secure their place in the semi-final with that one.
They'll be expected to. And I think they're kind of justifiably favourites for that one. Dunipace have done some fantastic work off the field, and we've mentioned them in the podcast before. But on the field, I don't feel like they're at the same level as Cali are, and you'd expect to see Braves progressing from that one.
I totally agree with you there. And the next two I think are a wee bit trickier to call, to be honest, and that's not to be disrespectful to East Kilbride, but they're in the first one. They're a side that are, we've spoke about their troubles at the moment. They're going to have hopefully a new manager in place for this one, which could give them a wee bit of the edge, to be honest. But they're welcoming Camelin along to K Park. Camelin, a side that are still, they're alive in, I think, the Football Nation. They're alive in the South Challenge Cup, and they're having a really good year in the East of Scotland Premier as well. So, they're doing something right, I suppose. It's a harder one to call, but you've still got to side with East Kilbride. East Kilbride, despite the trouble that they've had this season, they're still a team that quite like their silverware, and this is kind of an opportunity for them to salvage a little bit of something. So I think they'll be, similar to what you said about BSC, I think they'll be focusing quite heavily on getting through to the next round in this one.
Yeah, it's a really interesting tie for me, because I do have a wee bit of a soft spot for Camelin. They're a cracking wee club. They've just got their licence as well confirmed, and they've had a brilliant year. I don't think anyone expected them to be doing as well as they have done in the league, in the East of Scotland Premier. They have had a wee bit of a rougher patch recently. They didn't get a result the weekend, so they're maybe in no the best form heading to Kilby, but again, it's a one-off game, it's a cup game. If they can get G'd up for it, obviously off the back of the great news for the club itself, getting the club licence, who knows. But I think you've got to, if you're thinking Kilby's going to have a new gaffer in either for that game or pretty soon afterwards, you've got to think the players are going to want to impress and keep their spots and ultimately get a deal for next year in many cases. So I think I'll give the preference to Kilby.
Yeah, totally agree, and I think the players will want to sort of prove a point there. And the last one we need to cover off, it's a couple of East of Scotland sides that are playing in the fourth and final quarter final from the South Challenge Cup. It's Hillabeath Hawthorns against Trinent, which again it's another tasty tie. Hillabeath, like Camelin, still alive in a couple of cup competitions and having quite a decent season. They're pushing Bo'ness for that East of Scotland Premier as well towards the end of the season. And Trinent, I think I might be wrong, but I believe they're up there with the top goal scorers in the East of Scotland. So by no means an easy side to go up against. I'm going to give it the advantage to the home side in Hillabeath Hawthorns, but yeah, there's some interesting potential ties against, like say maybe BSC, Kelty, Braves, EK, Camelin, Dunipace in the next round. So I think both sides will be really going for this and trying to get into that semi-final. But I'm going to give the advantage to Hillabeath, I think.
Again, it's one that's really tough for me to call. No, in complete honesty, not knowing enough about both sides to make a proper judgment. I do know that Trinent have got very big ambitions on and off the pitch. Hawes are obviously a side that are well established and well known in the old junior circles and haven't progressed up to the senior pyramid. They've got that kind of prestige there, but I think purely on the basis of the home tie, you'd maybe go with them. But yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable kind of putting my neck in the line for it, put it that way.
No, I think that's fair. I think all the fixtures we've got to look ahead for the next week, there's some, I think we're getting spoiled a little bit. So there's a game for everyone in there, and even the semi-finals, the South Challenge Cup are already lining up nicely. There's going to be some really good ties in there as well, I think so. But yeah, that sort of finishes us off for the fixtures for the next week.
Brilliant. So that just leaves us to round off the podcast by kind of covering off where you can find us as well. So at Official Catchup on Twitter and Lowland League Catchup on Facebook are the two main ones that you can find the podcast itself at.
And we're on Instagram as well now.
We
It's
are
worth
now on
mentioning.
Instagram as well. So Shaun, you're the man behind the camera. Where's the Instagram found at?
It's official.catchup. Somehow official catchup was already taken, so I wasn't best pleased with that. But yeah, that's us on all three of the major platforms now, which is decent to see.
So if you're into your football pictures, get following. You can find myself on Twitter at Moza Plays, and Shaun, you've now got a new Twitter handle, so if you want to update us on that as well.
Yeah, I've lined it up with the rest of them, to be honest, make it a bit easier. So it's just Shaun Spedden 89. And you can find me on Twitter on there as well, yeah.
And with that rounds us off till next week. So thanks again for listening, folks. If you've got any questions, any feedback, as usual, just fire it into us by any of the social media channels we've mentioned. And if you've got any thoughts on what we should be covering in those upcoming Pyramid podcasts, do let us know as well. I suspect there's going to be plenty to talk about and plenty of people willing to talk about it when the time comes.
Yeah, and if I can just butt in there as well, we've obviously been speaking to a few teams, and we're hopefully going to be going along and speaking to Edinburgh Uni and Bo'ness over the next sort of week and a half. So if you've got anything you'd like us to ask or sort of delve into a little bit there, that's another one where you can drop us a wee message and we can obviously tie that in quite nicely.
Good shout. And by popular demand, if it is possible, we will get Chris to speak to Max Christie as well. I'm not sure if he'll be up for it, but we'll soon find out. But otherwise, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Talk to you later.